Hi ladies and gentlemen, Chet here from Avion Technology here in Chicago. Today I'm going to talk about 7 cybersecurity threats and how you can counter those. This video is for any small business owner. So the first one is malware. Malware, as we all know, is malicious software. What malwares do is essentially they somehow manage to break into your system, either by a link or by downloading something. And once they're there, they'll take hold of the system and ask you for bitcoins, or they'll install some kind of a spyware. Say this, they can, like keystroke loggers, for example. That's a spyware that a lot of malwares have. And then once they have your usernames and passwords, they can access all that. So malware, the best way to protect your system against malware is have really strong antivirus software. Make sure you update that software, and of course train your employees. Next is phishing attacks. Phishing attacks, again, what's also called social engineering, is where you get an email, they ask you to click on it. It seems pretty legit, so you click on it, and once you do that, again, it somehow it kind of provides you to leak out information like your username, password, all this kind of information. Usually it's done through legit looking emails. And the way you kind of do that is the way you kind of protect yourself against that is by having strong employee awareness training, using strong or unique passwords, and most importantly email filtering, so that only legit emails come through. Next are data breaches. Data breaches, as we all know, is when sensitive information goes out. Data breaches have been happening. Even large corporations have been targeted by data breaches all over the world. The way you protect yourself against data breaches is through data encryption, right? There's a lot of ways you can encrypt data. There's AES-256. There's a lot of other ways that you can encrypt data. But make sure that all of your data is encrypted, especially if you have a website which stores sensitive information. Like there's GDPR laws, there's other stuff out there. So make sure that if you are storing any sensitive customer data, or if you have access to any data, the database is encrypted so that no one can hack into the database and get hold of one table, and because of that get access to someone's data. Right? Make sure all the data is encrypted. Second important thing for data breaches is it's called the protocol of least privilege. So make sure that there's access controls, and an employee only has access to the areas where only have access to the areas that they need, right? For example, if you have an employee, let him only get access to that specific area. Don't let him have access to everything, right? So the principle of least privilege. So this is big. Next is denial of service attacks. That's when a lot of traffic is directed at a website or a network, and what happens is that makes that whole website collapse because it just gets so much traffic. The way you protect against it is web application firewalls. Also have robust network security, and most importantly, have a disaster mitigation plan. One of the critical things in cybersecurity, especially for small businesses, is to have a robust risk mitigation plan, right? What's called as a disaster recovery plan, or day after, it's called day after tomorrow, right? When something happens, how do you get back on your feet again? So it's called a business continuity plan or a disaster recovery plan. So your business should have that, especially a business continuity plan, right? What happens if our system gets hacked? How much time would it take for us to get back in action? What are the steps we are going to do? I always say that you should have drills for this. I don't know how many of my watchers here are in aviation, right? But I was in aviation for a little bit of time. And one of the things that pilots do a lot when they're not flying planes is they actually do a lot of simulator training. Right? They're on simulators and they're doing a lot of simulator training. The reason that they do that is that a lot of the protocols and emergency protocols, they become muscle memory for them. Because when contingencies happen, right, when crises happen, if at that time you start to think, it's already too late. So what you need to do, so when in time of a crisis, you don't want to think, you want to do, right? You want to take action. You don't want to at that point start thinking, oh, what should I do now? So it's the same for software. At that point, you should not be thinking, what am I going to do now? You should start doing it right now. And you should have drills, you should have protocols for business continuity, for disaster management. What if all my employees' laptops get hacked. Okay, sign up for some kind of a service like Carbonite, which is an online backup service, so that even if all their laptops get hacked and someone's asking for ransom, all their files are already backed up somewhere else. So you already have a plan B in place. So definitely, have some kind of a disaster recovery plan. The fifth is human error. So accidental data leaks or weak password choices, it's always going to happen, especially for employees who do not have the training, or who do not have who do not come from a cybersecurity background, or who are not aware about all that it takes, or sometimes who are even naive about cybersecurity threats, right? A lot of folks, they're very naive about all that someone can do if they get access to, let's say, a Wi-Fi, they get access to your router, right? So the best way to kind of mitigate human error is training and awareness, right? You should train your employees, you should make them aware. Next is insecure Wi-Fi networks. Again, if someone gets access to your router, there's actually different programs available out there that can intercept the packets, right? Essentially, data goes out through packets, right? So it can intercept the packets, and then once it intercepts the packets, then it has access to the data. So make sure that your Wi-Fi router, any router that you have, make sure that it has WPA3 encryption, so that the packets which are going out, they cannot be intercepted. Right? Sorry, my notes here. Last is Unpatched Software. Right? Again, this is huge. If you're using software which is outdated, for example WordPress, right? WordPress has plugins, and a lot of the older plugins have security issues in them. So a very known way for hackers to actually target a website is through WordPress, and especially using seeing if a website is using an older version of WordPress. Right? You can find out which version of WordPress that they're using, and that's very easy to find out. They can actually break into the plugins, and once they break into the plugins, they can break into the database, and once they break into the database, they get access to data. So Unpatched Software is again a way in which a lot of times we have seen that hackers actually manage to get access to what they want. Right? There's only a couple of things that hackers want. They either want the data, or they want to get access to your username or password, or they want to get control of your system and then ask for money. So there's some very typical things that they want. So regarding data, like I said, data encryption. Regarding username, password, all these things, make sure that you're behind good antivirus. And regarding ransomware and these kind of threats, make sure that you have some kind of a backup system, so that even if someone does get hold of your laptop or whatever, you can immediately revert back to a different system. So this is Chet here. These are a couple of threats that I have seen in cybersecurity. If there's more, I'm sure there's more. Like I said, this is not a lecture, this is not education, this is a conversation. So if there's anything that I said which is not correct, please feel to comment on that. Or if there's anything you might want to add to this, feel free to add to that. I think we're getting into a new world now, where data is the new gold, right? Everyone's behind data. And frankly, we're all being targeted all the time by malicious actors. So make sure your business is protected. That's important. Here at Avion Technology, we do help small businesses become more secure. So if you're one of them, give us a shout. These are our coordinates. If you like this content, press like. If you want to press subscribe, press subscribe. Click on the bell icon if you want to be notified every time we update something new. Thank you so much. Chet here from Avion Technology. Thanks and have a great day.